Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. Glad to be with you. As most of you know, I have been traveling like a madman, a maniac, and I happen to be back in St. Louis because I had business there, meeting with benefactors. We set up a trust, my family did, and essentially you can now donate to us tax deductible. And in effect, the trust is exactly that. It's a trust that the person's going to do the right thing. And then we work with 501c3s to work on the various projects that we have. And as you guys know, we're working on a movie. The film's actually almost done. It'll finish up this month. We've got projects with the Tea Party community. We've got a big deal that's coming up called these idea seminars that we're currently working on. So there's some things that are really cool that are happening. And of course, I've got my regular stuff I have to do with Fox. And anyway, so I was in St. Louis. It was completely by accident. I get here. I do my normal weekly hit on a St. Louis radio show, the Jamie Allman Show. And we're talking about the Stockley verdict. And I was like, whoa, I knew something was up because you could feel it. I land in early morning, 12:30 in the morning. Actually on Monday. I say I was here Sunday, but it was Monday morning at 12:30. I get my rental car, head over to my house. Very next day, I'm out and about, and you can feel it. You're hearing this tension. And then, of course, I do the radio hit, and they're talking about the Stockley verdict is coming, the Stockley verdict. And so it completely by accident, I happen to be here. So I alert Fox. I said, hey, guys, I don't know if we've been following this, but in St. Louis, we have a Ferguson 2.0 that potentially could develop. And, of course, they're wrapped up in the bombing that happened in London. I believe there was a terror attack in France as well. There was also the remnants, of course, of Hurricanes Harvey and Irma. And there are people, ESPN anchors that are, talking smack about the president. You've got CNN people, Anthony Bourdain, talking about poisoning the president and all kinds of stuff going on. And so they're there, and I contact the management team, and I said, hey, guys, I don't know if this is going to be a big deal, but it happens that I'm in St. Louis. The Stockley verdict's going to come out. It was a case that happened back in December of 2011 where the police officer, Jason Stockley, sees a drug deal going down with a guy by the name of Anthony Lamar Smith, who's a heroin dealer. And they're passing by. Smith sees the popo. He jumps in his car. Boom, boom, rams a couple of police cars. Takes off. Pow, 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 pow. They shoot at him while he's running. High-speed chase ensues. Cars crash. Officer gets out and, at some point shoots Anthony Lamar Smith. And, of course, the picture they show of Anthony Lamar Smith, he's with his baby. He's holding his baby. He's a daddy. He's a good man. And his brother came on TV later. I'm going to go out of sequence here a little bit because I'm in a bit of a rant. But his brother comes on TV and says, man, you don't understand what it's like to be life in the hood. We have to deal drugs. We have to sell heroin. and so that's the case. Officers roll up, see a heroin deal going down. Perpetrator, Anthony Lamar Smith, jumps in his car, tries to run over police officers, gets in a high-speed chase, and because the police officer says, we need to kill this MF, in what I call excited utterance, suddenly he's on trial. Now, keep in mind, folks, this happened before Ferguson. Ferguson happened in 2014. This happened 3 years almost before Ferguson. And nobody said a word. And suddenly, it's mainstream news. I'm embroiled in the middle of it. I'm going to get coffee. I'm seeing the National Urban League. I'm seeing NAACP. There's a lot of black folks in St. Louis, and I'm seeing more. And I'm asking them questions. And then I start seeing white folks. 'Cause I live in an area that's very eclectic. It's sort of it's a very liberal part of St. Louis, up on near Grand Avenue. And I'm seeing heavy-set white girls, that look like they're college students talking about white silence is white nationalism or white racism or whatever. Like, they got to speak up. on behalf of Anthony Lamar Smith, because Jason Stockley hunted this black man down. He killed him. He killed him in front of God and everybody. And I'm trying to make sanity of this. I'm listening to the radio guys talk about the state of St. Louis. I know the state of St. Louis. Why the heck do you think I'm leaving? Right? I get it. All these cities are nothing but cesspools, armpits. They trap you in. They lure you in with, hey, come down to the waterfront. There's a free concert. Hey, have you checked out our zoo? Listen, we've got a couple of good restaurants. You don't want to miss a sporting event. And they lure you in. And I'm located 5 to 7 minutes from all of it. Man, you could bike to the Cardinals game. You could bike to the Rams game, but they left. You could bike to see the Blues, St. Louis Blues play. You could bike anywhere downtown, nice restaurants, whatever. The only thing I would tell you is be careful out there. Remember what they'd say at Hill Street Blues? I was trying to think of this the other day, Hill Street Blues. So I'm in this city that's in the midst of a death spiral. 1950, it had 860,000 people. It's down to 318,000 people. Folks, do you understand the direction that St. Louis is going? I want you to take your finger and spin it in a circle, okay? And let the circle get smaller and smaller. That's what's happening to St. Louis. That's what's happening to Cleveland. That's what's happening to Baltimore. That's what's happening to Detroit. Every major city in this country, save a few, Chicago, New York, a couple of liberal enclaves where people have said, we're going to, we're planting our flag here. Those are the only ones growing. All the other ones are shrinking. Even leftists get sick of leftists. Trust me on this, folks. You don't see very many people on the right getting sick of us. Yeah, I'm sick of these good schools and these safe communities with these people that are really friendly. Yeah, this is awful. I'm sick of people that go to church and have morals and don't want to break into your house, that have backyard barbecues and get to know their neighbors and so on and so forth. I'm sick of all of that. Said no conservative ever? Oh, we're so square, right? Yeah, we're so square that we're the ones getting in our boats, going out to the lake with friends, kicking back, drinking a beer, listening to the ball game, swimming with the kids, whatever, having a good time. That's how square we are. We're living life. Anyway, I got more to talk about with St. Louis because it was an interesting time. Back in.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
Beth Cook Moranville, author of Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope.
Hope, that wonderful, wonderful 4-letter word that you may feel completely out of. I wrote this book to give you great hope. It's not too late. If fetal position is an all too familiar place for you, I understand. If the next 60 seconds are too long, this book is for you. Wherever you are right now, whether you're dealing with divorce or death or sickness, take hope. You are going to make it through this pain. Don't roll your eyes. I've walked this road and I know it. The best is yet to come.
Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope from author and speaker Beth Cook Moranville, can be found on Amazon.com or Kindle.com. For more information, visit closerthanyourBreath.com or on Facebook at Closer Than Your Breath.
Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. KJRadio.com is where you can reach us. 844-551-8255. Liz writes to me. She says this. Just imagine, say the Tea Party had a permit to gather in downtown St. Louis. Let's just say that instead of a regular, peaceful, polite, meticulously clean protest, they'd had at least as many hundreds. They theoretically threatened to leave a paper towel in the grass. The horror. Nancy Senile Pelosi, Chuck the Jerk Schumer, and Dick left blank Durbin would label them a terrorist group, which would they probably already have, and demand they be stopped even before the event and arrested, etc. What she's saying, folks, is knowing that some of these people in St. Louis who got their permits to march or whatever were going to be disruptive, the people on the left condone it. They condone Antifa. They condone Black Lives Matter. Terrorist groups. And for the record, it didn't matter what happened in St. Louis with this verdict with Stockley. That the left is going to complain no matter what. It's like my grandmother would say, that woman could have a ham under each arm and be begging for bread. That's what the left does. It doesn't matter what the outcome is, folks. That's the way they are. They are programmed to complain. And so while we do things the right way, if we were going to protest a verdict, they wouldn't have to board up buildings. They pre-boarded up buildings. Let me give you just some examples. 16 libraries in an area of St. Louis were shut down. There were businesses boarding up. I drove by them and said, holy cow, it looks like there's a hurricane coming. You would think Hurricane Harvey or Irma was so big it was going to reach inland, and St. Louis was boarding up in order to be, for concern of the hurricane. They were boarding up because they weren't sure of what was going to happen. Now, I'm not a huge Eric Greitens fan. I think he's, I've got my own opinion about him. But I'll give it this. Being prepared, having looked at Ferguson and bringing out preemptively the National Guard and so on, police force like you wouldn't believe, police presence, I should say, it thwarted all of the things that the left wanted to happen. They had troublemakers here, folks. They were throwing bottles at the police and all this. But people were getting arrested. It was get them quick, snatch and grab fast. But you can imagine what would happen. So I want to go back to the verdict now. So the verdict comes out. They said it would come out at 3. It didn't. It came out at roughly noon Central Time. And so it was the talk of talk radio, it was the talk of the town. People were concerned. People were sending me things on social media. Kevin, once they found out I was here, Kevin, are you afraid? You need to go. Are you going to be able to get out of the airport? Where are you located? Because they know I'm relatively close to the action. I said, no. In fact, I'm going to be in the action because I've alerted Fox. They want me to go on. We're going to go do some stuff. I'm going to go down there, start doing remotes, etc. I did a remote Saturday morning on Fox and Friends in front of the mayor's house. A mayor whose house got vandalized, and she was actually against the cops. Now, let's dissect this case just a little bit. So, no justice, no peace. Black Lives Matter and the idiots on the left want to determine what justice is. And as I mentioned earlier, they don't care what justice is. The only justice would have been to find Stockley guilty. And I guarantee you, if they found him guilty, it would not have said, oh, well, good, the criminal justice system is now at work. They would go, finally, we get one. But, it would still be, but there's still a problem in the criminal justice system. There was no way to win. It's like when Barack Obama became president, everybody thought, sane people were like, well, okay, give up the idea that America's racist now. No, America became more racist. If you think that giving a verdict on a cop, I think they made the right decision, by the way. But if you think that putting a verdict on a cop and saying, oh, well, he's guilty, that's going to make people go, oh, well, we can finally believe in the criminal justice system. You are naive. There is nothing you're going to do that's going to stop it. So the only thing you can do is do the right thing, which is what Judge Wilson did. He did the right thing. He ruled in favor of Officer Jason Stockley, exonerating him from a shooting that left Anthony Lamar Smith dead. Holy mother of Sharpton, folks, the race pimping dinner bell rings. Ding, 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 ding. And here they come running like Pavlov's dogs, because you know what? The Jesse Jacksons and Al Sharptons are played. But there's a whole new crop of these people. Here in town, it's a guy named Antonio French. He's the one who went to Ferguson out of his district. And I mean, you had to see it. It was like an acting thing. I mean, it was like watching a bad performance of Denzel. Why me? It's like he was getting hit with water or something. The cops arresting him. It was all contrived. They all want to be the next something, whatever it is, the next big race pimp. Maybe they could start a reality show, the next big race pimp, and see who all shows up. And don't think it's just going to be black people. Oh, no. You're going to get your M&Ms that want to be a part of it. White folks, who are sympathetic. And ironically, as I mentioned before, many of these protesters were trust fund baby white kids. You could see it. I mean, more money than sense. Don't know anything about these issues. I heard interviews with people, older white lady carrying a Black Lives Matter sign, and when they ask her on Fox, do you know that these people condone the killing of police officers? Well, I don't know anything about that. I just don't think anybody should kill anybody. We just told you. They condone the killing of police officers. Well, I don't know. I'm just down with the cause. It's crazy watching these people. Protesters were early, ready to go, folks, from all over the country. They wanted to, one of them said, to be part of history. I'm like, the history of what? The history was Ferguson Part 2 or so, it would seem. For weeks, folks, the state of Missouri prepared for the verdict that happened the other day. Think about that. Cities around this country have cases involving police officers that they can't tell you about. They have to be careful in explaining why. Because those cases are volatile in the lives, in the way that blacks and leftists process, these leftist blacks process these things. They're volatile. White cop shot a black dude who was committing a crime. For us, that's open and shut. For them, no. The city has to be very, they have to essentially walk on eggshells before they can tell you, hey, yeah, a black guy got shot. He got killed by a cop, blah, blah, blah. Oh, well, let's be careful with how we report that. And they have to be concerned about how much money it's going to cost them. This guy that got killed, Anthony Lamar Smith, his family got $800,000 or $900,000. Didn't quite hit a 7-figure payday, but still the lottery. Think about it. All these people getting shot and killed. A freaking heroin dealer gets shot and killed, and they want to pay him off, pay his family off. Now, how long do you think that works? How long are you going to survive? How long do you as a taxpayer say, you know what? I don't care if you kill all these people. We'll just keep paying. We'll keep paying. We'll keep paying for Anthony's illegitimate kids. We'll keep paying for Anthony's drug rehab, his stints in jail, and everything else. Because you know what? We got nothing but time and money on our hands. And we canonize these guys. I'm not saying you and I. I'm talking about the left, society. They've made a new hero. Now, Mark Lamont Hill and all these guys. When you talk about, you talking about Tamir Rice, and you talking about Anthony Lamar Smith, and yep, it's coming.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. I was broadcasting talking about St. Louis and the fact that cities all over the country spend an exorbitant amount of money over nonsense. I would love to get with black leadership in these cities and say to them, I tell you what, if you guys stop with all this nonsense of no justice, no peace, we'll give you half the money to go put into education programs or whatever, businesses, black businesses, but you must use it for that. No feathering of your nest if you'll just shut the hell up. Because I don't get it. The city of St. Louis had, I saw National Guard people, the police stations that was near all the nonsense, which is on Olive in St. Louis. You couldn't get in it. It was barricaded. I'm not kidding. It was barricaded. Barricaded courthouse, all the official buildings. I saw private security people at buildings that would normally not be out. So I got pulled right up to a building, and the reason why, it was close to the police station. So they were like, you need to be right there because we don't want anybody messing with our stuff because they're coming to mess with the cops. So you had that. When I did the hit at the mayor's office, the hit means TV appearance, not trying to kill the mayor. But when I did the hit in front of her house, Lida, whatever her name is, there was more cop presence in her neighborhood than there normally is in multiple city blocks because her house had been attacked. And she's anti-cop. And what's funny to me, you watch these cities in their death spirals, practically all of them across the board, and the Democrats still do things the same way. Haven't learned a thing. But I want to go back to this guy, Anthony Lamar Smith. Because, and I talked about this on TV, so this is a rehash if you saw the thing, but it's a deeper dive. And here's what bugs me. What bugs me is in every case, whether you're talking about Eric Garner, whether you're talking about Anthony Lamar Smith, whether you're talking about Philando Castile, you name it, Michael Brown, they all died for one very simple reason. They resisted arrest. It's that simple. That is the only lesson here. If Anthony Lamar Smith, when the cops roll up and he just says, hey, you got me, puts his hands up, he's alive. Now, I asked a young black dude this. By the way, this is a funny story. So I go to do this shot over at the mayor's house. This was on Saturday morning. And this black kid is fixing a bike. And I'm about to go on TV, and I'm like, hey, what's up, man? He's like, dude, because he's talking to another film guy. And the guy goes, you're not going to believe this, Kevin. He goes, this guy recovered his bike. It was stolen from him during the march, during the protest. I go, get that, tell me the story. So I got him on film. He says, yeah, man. He goes, so I'm protesting downtown. I said, so, okay, so you're protesting on behalf of, against Stockley and on behalf of Anthony Lamar Smith. He says, well, I can't really say I'm protesting for Anthony Lamar Smith, but he goes, I had a friend who was killed by a cop. And he goes, and so I'm protesting on behalf of him, et cetera. Now, I didn't get to ask him, what did your friend do? Because what I can tell you without knowing is his friend was a crook. His friend was doing stuff that made the police look at him. Cops do not want to just go out shooting people. I mean, if they do, it's so rare, it's ridiculous. And those cops, look, I'm not going to tell you that they don't exist, but they're so rare. They're like a albino elephant. All right. So he's telling the story, and I go, so let me just get this straight so the audience understands. You're protesting. The cake hits the fan, pepper spray gets sprayed at people. You get hit in the eye with pepper spray. He says, yeah, by the time I looked up, my bike is gone. So somebody in that very peaceful crowd took it upon themselves that the minute he got pepper sprayed and dropped his bike and was covering his face with his fingers trying to get this pepper spray out of his eyes, I don't know what he did to get pepper spray. Somebody stole his bike. Then the person rode his bike to the mayor's house and is probably one of the vandals of the mayor's house. You get it? So he's smiling, and I ask him, I go, why, give me more. Tell me why you're he says, man, the evidence of this, and he talked about the rifle coming out of Anthony Lamar Smith's, the cop's car. The cop had his own personal rifle. I said, okay, fine. He didn't use it. What's that got to do with anything? I said, my gut feel was this cop was saying, I ain't going to be outgunned. I'd rather violate policy than to be outgunned by these thugs that I have to go deal with. But then he says, well, he's talking about, we're going to go kill this. And he actually used the N-word. I said, he didn't say that. He said we're going to go kill this MF. He goes, you're right. I just said the N-word. I said, yeah. And I said, now, I can tell you this. I had some stuff thrown on me. Me and a group of people were walking when we were at college, and some other college kids threw like soda on us as we were going out. And I'm telling you, the first words out of our mouths was, we need to go kill these MFs. Now, we weren't going to kill them, but had we caught them, we'd have beat the crap out of them. And so you can understand that's an excited utterance, not to mention he knows he's on film. He knows he's being taped. So, and then I said, but here's the thing that really gets me. And I asked him this question. I said, what could Anthony Lamar Smith have done? I said, if he surrenders, is he alive? And the guy goes, yeah. And I said, that's all I need, man. Now, the bigger issue to me, and I keep coming back to this, is I am so sick of the white leftists getting black people in a froth over criminals. I jokingly said, if Denzel Washington is shot by a police officer, I'm protesting, right? But if Anthony Lamar Smith, the heroin dealer, who's a repeat offender and is just, probably the type of guy that if you live in the neighborhood, being honest, you say, man, I'm so glad somebody finally killed that sucker. He's been menacing this neighborhood for years. Trust me, folks, when I tell you, there are black people living in the hood that want that to happen. They want the bad guy gone. They don't have the guts to do it themselves. They don't have the guts to say it because they don't want to deal with the ramifications. But they are happy when the cops do their dirty work for them. So don't believe this nonsense that, snitches get stitches and we hate the cops. There are people out there who are so happy. Now, they'll pretend not to be because it's, look, it's bizarro world in the black community. We love Snoop Dogg. We hate Clarence Thomas. I mean, that should tell you right there. It's bizarro world. But there are people in that world who are trapped in it and who toe the line, who don't really want to do it. They do not want to make a Rosa Parks or Martin Luther King out of Michael Brown or Trayvon Martin or Philando Castile or Eric Garner or Anthony Lamar Smith. When we start looking at people, the dope dealers of the world, and who knows what else, trust me when I tell you, folks, if you know the history of Anthony Lamar Smith, I don't know it, but I do know it, right? I don't know it, but I do know it. I promise you, there's nothing choir boy here. There's nothing they're going to tell you about Anthony Lamar Smith where you go, wow, snuffed out of life too soon. Am I saying I want this man dead? Absolutely not. I wish Anthony Lamar Smith had the guts to say to the police, you know what? You got me, man. We call it in the black community, doing dirty. I've been doing dirty. You got me. I've been slinging heroin. You caught me in a deal. Let's just do what we got to do. But he didn't do that. No, he thought he could do something different. And the likelihood is, part of his rationale is, I'll be famous. I'm not saying he wanted to die, but you don't know what the outcome is going to be in these situations anymore, man. This dude could get street cred. He got rappers putting him in videos. Y'all, there are people out there listening to me now going, Kevin, are you stretching things a bit? I'm stretching nothing, people. I'm giving you gospel here. This dude could blow up, and that's a good thing. And I'm not talking ISIS and Muslim stuff. He could blow up from getting away from the cops or getting shot and living to survive and tell his story. In this case, his family is the one who benefited. They got the money. And what's funny, when you look at all of the different people that have commented about this, Lacey Clay and others. Lacey Clay's talking about more black people. Here we are again dealing with police killing black folks. Lacey Clay doesn't have the guts to say to his constituents what Anthony Lamar Smith was doing was wrong. Look, I understand why a guy deals drugs in the hood. I get it. Anthony Lamar Smith maybe can't get a job because he's an offender, right? He's got a record, caught a case or two. Understood. And he's desperate. But it doesn't mean he has to be desperate when he's caught. See, that's liberalism. Anthony Lamar Smith should have thought of his family. Should have thought, you know what? Been there, done that. It's just one of those mountains I got to climb. I get it. And we as a society should be helping solve the problems of the Anthony Lamar Smiths. The guys who believe the only way out is dealing drugs and things like that.
Kevin Jackson on the Black Sphere Radio Network.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
Putting an end to identity politics. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
All right, everybody, welcome back. Kevin Jackson here. It is the Kevin Jackson Show. KJRadio.com. We've got a lot to discuss. I'm going to move on for a bit because there are quite a few other things in the news that need to be talked about. We covered this girl, CNN Jamel, what's her face, a little bit. And she wanted to, I don't know, she says Trump is a white nationalist or whatever else. And we talked about her. We talked about Anthony Bourdain, CNN. And this guy, look, I'm going to tell you something. If it weren't for CNN having to be forced on you in the airport, I wouldn't know what their lineup is. But I watch Bourdain, who's a chef. And he's been, I just know this because I was in the airport. And he's been on CNN now with this show for 10 years. It used to be a show where he ran around eating exotic foods, but now he talks about, music and all these other things. And I don't know how you have any credibility. I watched the CNN piece or heard it in the airport where he was talking to some musician in Nashville. She's a lady that's just starting to make it, kind of old school country. And he's talking about, just making that transition and stuff. And I was as I watched the show, I was thinking, country music, these are people that love America, probably really love the president. And here's a guy that says if he had the chance, if he cooked for Trump, he'd poison him. And then he said, I didn't say kill, I said kale. I heard some smart alecky comment about it. And I'll be honest with you, I've done a little bit of research on the guy, not a whole lot. And I hear he's a first-class a-hole, which wouldn't surprise me at all, because most leftists are. And it was just, honestly, it's disgusting to watch these guys. Before I ever knew anything about this guy, I thought he was a cool cat. And look, here's the thing. It isn't just about his politics. I don't care that he's a lefty. I have leftist friends. I'll give you a quick story. One of my buddies lives in St. Louis, hurt his ankle on his job. They won't pay his workman's comp. He literally twisted his foot almost off and tore the ligaments. It was crazy. I told him, stop telling me the story. And he kept going. I said, I'm serious. Stop telling me. I don't want to hear about it. I get it. It was a terrible injury. They won't pay his workman's comp. So I, was back and forth to St. Louis. I had a bunch of food in my refrigerator, probably about $400 worth of food. So I said, hey, man, come by. Come get this food, his wife and he. So they came by. They were just overjoyed, to get all this food. They go, man, we don't have to shop for 2 months. I said, good. So helping him out. And I know he stood in the Michael Brown Jr. protest. He doesn't know I know, but I know he did because I, monitored. Somebody was telling me about his Facebook page. I didn't go out there. I'm not a stalker. So he calls me up and he's like, man, what you doing? I said, oh, nothing. You need anything? No, he said, I'm just all this stuff going on in St. Louis. And I'm like, what about it? Yet again, we got Anthony Lamar Smith, a guy who's a heroin dealer, and we want to build a civil rights movement around him. And we got silly Negroes marching over this stuff, threatening to shut a city down that's already in a death spiral. I go, and you wonder why I want to be out of here? And yeah. And I could tell that he wanted me to feel sorry for Anthony Lamar Smith, who got himself killed. And I explained it. I said, what they want us to do is suspend belief that a heroin dealer didn't have a piece. Because I asked one dude, a leftist, he said, you know they planted that gun. I said, okay, well then where's the other gun? And he looked at me like, what? I go, where's the other gun? He's like, what other gun? Hey, it wasn't no gun. I said, okay, so what you want me to believe is a dude who sells heroin in the hood and does drug deals didn't have a gun. And he looked at me like, oh, you got me. I said, yeah. So if the cops found one gun, I want to know where his gun was. Was it on him? Did he toss it? What? Because I'm going to tell you something, folks. Heroin dealers who deal drugs in the hood are all strapped. For you white folks, that means they have guns. Don't try to play. Don't get it twisted, as we like to say. He had a gun. So don't talk to me about the rifle the cop had in the car and the DNA and all these other things, because only a fool would believe that that dude didn't have a gun. So show me the other gun. Anyway, we got a lot to talk about. I don't want to just talk about that. Teacher gets suspended, loving on cop killers. And he's a weirdo. Tucker interviewed him. I didn't see the interview, but I saw his picture. He's a weirdo. These are the people that you folks, particularly you white people, go out and you spend a fortune sending your kids to people like him. And worse, you send them to people like this black professor that said God is white. God is racist and he's white. And all these other things. Do you understand what a disservice you do to yourself, to your children, to America, to humanity by forking it over? Everywhere I go, every city I visit, practically, especially around election time, you will see people going, hey, donate to the schools. You know, so-and-so school, Texas schools, Arizona schools, Minnesota schools. It's for the kids. And it'll be district on, like, because they want TIF funds or bond initiatives, and vote yes for the childrens. Vote yes for the little childrens. Protect the little bitty babies. We got to educate them. And they're not getting educated. Neither are you. You pay for it. You don't get educated. Anyway, we'll talk more about that. Teacher, maybe. I don't know. Boobs. I'm telling you all the things I missed. Somebody said boobs. A guy sends me a text message. So, Kevin, I don't think it was such a big deal about boobs. I'm like, dude, I've been on a plane for 4 hours. What are you talking about? Somebody on TV said boobs. Okay. What about it? A guy said, I like the First Amendment and I like boobs. And I'm like, well, congratulations to him. He could add a few things. I bet he likes steak. He probably likes monster trucks. Maybe likes football. What's the big deal? And the lady, I guess her name, I interviewed with her years ago. Poppy, was it Poppy? No, Brooke somebody. She was offended on behalf of women because some dude said he liked boobs. I don't know who it was. Maybe you guys do. Call the show, 844-551-8255. Maybe you're a guy out there and you like boobs. My hand is up. I like boobs. I don't like moobs. That's man boobs. I like boobs. Babe boobs. Okay? Always have. Always will. I don't get this. I don't get how this is a story. The left is looking for things to be offended about. I don't understand it. Look, women, are you really that? And I'm talking about this. Brooke's a nice looking lady. And what was funny, who was it? Adam Baldwin or somebody tweeted, oh yeah, I get by on my intellect. And they've got this picture of her standing like in front of one of the, a photo op. And guess what's showing? Almost 2/3, 3/4 of her boob in a dress. But no, she doesn't use her sexuality. I'll put it to you this way. If I had boobs and they look like and I took care of them, I would make no bones about it. This is where I talk about these feminists. God gave women the products, the pieces to make men. We will swoon over women. And I'm not going to give away the secrets, guys, but there are secrets for women to be with men and where a guy will adore you. There are secrets to this. I'm not going to tell you. You want to call, reach out to me. Let me know you're listening to the show. I may give you hints. I'll talk to you about it. But the fact of the matter is, there are secrets to how women can deal with men and how men can deal with women that solve all the problems. And I'm not going to try to get you to not read Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus, whatever. I don't know who is which, because you can go do what you want. But I will tell you, there are people out there who know the secret to this, and women know it. And it isn't worrying about your boobs and hearing words and things like that. That's ridiculous. But we had that. We had big news. London was bombed. Well, I want to talk about that next hour. London gets bombed. That is superseded by the nonsense of St. Louis, which I could talk about that the entire show. The only reason why I'm not talking about it in depth in this segment is because I already talked about it so much. I was on the ground. I'm disturbed that black folks want to ruin this country. They do. And white liberal enablers want to help them. And you have to ask yourself, why? Why do you want to ruin the best country in the world? We'll be back.
He won't stop until he's the top-rated radio talk show host in America.
What kind of weird competitive freak are you?
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
So guys, tell me why you came out here today.
Because Hillary is bad for America. She's a criminal for prison.
Hillary in prison. How old are you?
14.
14. And
14.
So you guys are friends, and then you came out here. You don't know these
I don't
young
know
men.
these boys, no.
But you're obviously a woman.
Costco, and I saw that she was here, and I think it's a disgrace that Costco has her here.
All right, everybody. Welcome. Kevin Jackson here. That's who you're listening to. And it is a disgrace that Costco would have crooked Hillary Clinton. She is hawking her book in the milk aisle. That's funny. On so many levels. Hillary's wants the public to suck on the teat of Hillary Clinton in the milk aisle. Could you milk her while you were there? Oh, man, now you guys are starting to have fun on your own without me. Okay, go for it. But it is funny to hear that Hillary Clinton was in the milk aisle of Costco trying to hawk her book. Laura Loomer is the one who clipped that video. She's in Brookfield, and I think that's up in Connecticut. And serial whiner Hillary Clinton was there to sign 1,000 copies of her memoir, What Happened. And by the way, don't think they sold 1,000 copies. And these book signings, a lot of it's contrived. And I'm going to go into radio just so you guys have an idea of what radio is and how what we try not to do. So I'll give you let me use radio, but let me finish this thought. So it's contrived. Hillary has somebody buy 1,000 books. She signs them. She gets people line up, give these books away. Don't misunderstand me. Some people buy them. There are a few people out there that do want to buy them, but Hillary Clinton's not popular. They want you to think she is. They have to make you believe that she's bigger than life, that in her loss, she's still relevant. That's why Hillary's running around going, well, I won the popular vote, and I was never worried about this, going to prison. They're lying about me, this, that, and the other. And I am relevant. People want me around. That is all that she has left. I mean, these people should be in prison for what the Clinton Foundation alone did. Forget Hillary's record in getting people killed and then killing people. I'm talking about just with the Clinton Foundation. If you were not a Clinton and somebody looked at that foundation, there's no question in my mind. They would accuse you of being a Bernie Madoff. Bernie Madoff, the only thing, let me tell you what Bernie did. Bernie Madoff took people's money. He leveraged it by making some winners while making a lot of losers. And he lived a lavish life on the part that he took. That's what the Clintons did. The only difference is the people who gave money to the Clinton Foundation expected their favors back with the win, with Hillary Clinton to win. That's why the Clinton Foundation, it will suck wind from now on. We should pull the numbers and see what's going on there, but the numbers have to be extraordinarily low in comparison to before. And they're holding on to it. This thing about Hillary is less about her political career than for the livelihood of the Clintons. This running around still whining about, well, Bernie Sanders is the reason now. No, it was the FBI and Comey. No, it's misogyny and the hatred of women. And, no, it was that, Barack Obama couldn't pull me through. Whatever. The litany of excuses is crazy. I've seen lists. I can't even keep up anymore with why Hillary lost. All I know is it wasn't her fault. And you probably realize that too. So, long story short, she's out there running around and they fake it. So let me talk about radio for just a little bit. So, I am a syndicated radio host. Then what that means is I'm in multiple markets. Now, I could be in 2 markets and I can call myself a syndicated radio host. By the way, this is the same with books. I'm like Donald Trump right now, exposing the ruse. So I'm an Amazon best-selling author. I've never made New York Times best-selling lists because you have to sell a lot more books to make the New York Times. And it's orchestrated when you do it. People will pile all their book sales into one moment and then release the Kraken, and then you become a New York Times best-selling author. We've never strategized to do that. And I don't mind people that do it. Congratulations. But does it help you sell a few more books? Probably. But when I tell you that if you ever write a book, you become a book salesman, all right? Unless you're Denzel, somebody big, and the book's just going to pop off the shelf. Or you got this salacious story like WikiLeaks or this Snowden, somebody like that, right? You can sell a ton of books if you write a book at that point. You've left the Trump administration. You can write a book. People buy the book. But it's still, you become a book salesman. It's hype. So all I'm getting at is all these things are hype. Radio, two locations, 2 terrestrial stations, you're syndicated. Now you could say regionally syndicated. But if one is in Oregon, for example, I have a station in Oregon. What's up, y'all? KYKN. Then I have a station in Florida. WGUO, WLSS. I'm across the country. I could theoretically say I'm a nationally syndicated radio show. Now, I am to a degree because I have multiple stations. I have more than 2, less than 100, whatever. But I have quite a few stations. But people take Kevin's a nationally syndicated radio host. I chuckle at that because I think to myself, I'm a radio show host. Where I'm located, does it really matter anymore? Now we've got the internet. But the left, they would tell you, nationally syndicated radio host Kevin Jackson. Best-selling author. Yes, I was an Amazon best-selling author because over a period of a month, we really focused on selling books and we stayed in the top, 2% of book sales in my category. And Amazon says, you're an Amazon bestseller. But is my book jumping off the shelves on Amazon today? No. You got to go sell books, right? Hillary Clinton, they'll tell you she's a best-selling author. It's all about building the resume. Look, I'm an author. I wrote books. I'm proud of those books. I'm glad. If you read them, congratulations. You'll get a lot of laughs. You'll use information against leftists until the day is long. But I'm not going to overdo it. I'm not Shakespeare. I'm not even Stephen King. I'm a good author who will make you laugh if you want to have a laugh at politics. And I appreciate that. But I'm not going to. And do we tout it? Sure we do. I am an Amazon best-selling author. I'm a fellow at the Dole Institute. I'm this, I'm that. But at the end of the day, you got to go out and sell books. And you got to hope that what you wrote is meaningful. Hillary Clinton left so much junk out of her books. Hillary, tell us where the bones are buried. This is the reason why I lost. What happened? She doesn't go into detail about what's her fault. We got a ton to talk about. I got to take a short break.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
Beth Cook Moranville, author of Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope.
Hope, that wonderful, wonderful 4-letter word that you may feel completely out of. I wrote this book to give you great hope. It's not too late. If fetal position is an all too familiar place for you, I understand. If the next 60 seconds are too long, this book is for you. Wherever you are right now, whether you're dealing with divorce or death or sickness, take hope. You are going to make it through this pain. Don't roll your eyes. I've walked this road and I know it. The best is yet to come.
Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope from author and speaker Beth Cook Moranville, can be found on Amazon.com or Kindle.com. For more information, visit closerthanyourBreath.com or on Facebook at Closer Than Your Breath.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
All right, everybody, welcome back. Kevin Jackson here. Hillary Clinton is still on the warpath. Oh, that's Elizabeth Warren. Sorry. One of those white women is faking being an Indian. The other one's faking being a human. Anyway, Hillary Clinton made a comment that I have got to discuss. We're bouncing around a bit, but I got to discuss this. Hillary Clinton said white women didn't vote for her because they felt pressure. Now, you guys out there, shame. For shame. I know what you did. You had your foot, your jack boot. Yeah, that's what the Nazis wore. Jack boots. You had your foot on the neck of your spouses, your significant others. And you were like, you better get in there and you better vote for the white man. And I know how you did it. And then your wives and your girlfriends and your significant others, whatever. If you're gay, your guy, your girl, they said, oh my God, ooh, lordy, I got to go in here and do what my man or my woman or whatever, my ja or she, whatever they use pronoun you choose, I'm going to have to go in there and do exactly what my man, other said. And you did it. And you got Trump elected. You felt the pressure. She talks about what happened. And one question keeps coming up as to why she lost on 2016. So she was on CBS Morning and she said her biggest mistake was not to sympathize enough with Americans' anger after the financial crisis. But she also said that misogyny played a role. Misogyny played a role. She was interviewed. She did an interview with the New York Times columnist Nicholas Kristof and said it's the hatred of women. Men just did not want to see a woman in power. Look, I won't lie to you and tell you that there aren't some men that said, I just can't see myself voting for a woman. I'm sure that exists. There are people out there that said, I just can't see myself voting for a black man. But Barack Obama got elected. So how does Hillary explain that? There were people that said, I don't see myself voting for a Catholic. But Kennedy got elected. Oh, that's right. He cheated. So did Barack Obama the second time. But the first time Barack Obama did not cheat. So what is Hillary Clinton trying to say? She's trying to tell you that a woman can never be president because, men are going to be against a woman. Now, you and I both know, because we're conservatives and we actually can think that that's just not true. The right woman might have gotten elected. She hopefully will never be a leftist, but I don't have any doubt about it. Same thing I said when Barack Obama got elected. There's never been a doubt in my mind as a young kid. I'm talking about a child of the 60s. And I said, a black man will be president. It's not even a big deal. It's not a stretch for me. And I'm talking about growing up in the inner city Po, and I knew a black man would be president. I never thought it would be a knucklehead like Barack Obama, for the life of me. But there are others. So this idea that there's something, I didn't get elected because I'm a woman. Yet another convenient excuse. This interview with NPR, she elaborated on how sexism may have lost her the women's vote in particular. 42% of women voted for Trump in this presidential election. Are you aware of that? That is a huge number. I mean, I don't know what it would be for Bush or whatever. That's you got to be careful when you talk like that. But I will tell you, whatever the number is, that was a pretty hefty number for Trump. 42%. Think about that. I bet you a lot of them were black women too. I don't have that breakdown. She says, when women are serving on behalf of someone else, as I was, when I was Secretary of State, for example, they are seen favorably. She's saying, as long as women are not large and in charge, people can deal with them. They like them. Hillary Clinton believed she was liked as Secretary of State. Let me tell you what Hillary Clinton was as Secretary of State, just so we're clear. She was tolerated. That's it. She rode on the coattails of the wave that was Barack Obama in 2008. And when she saw the wave crashing, she got out. But she says, when women step into the arena say, wait a minute, I think I could do the job, I would like to have that opportunity, their favorabilities go down. She believes that women in charge are seen as a negative. You know, like the Queen of England or Oprah Winfrey or, I don't know, Kim Kardashian's dominating of social media. I can't think of anybody. Think of anybody that you think, and I'm talking Twitter, maybe I'm wrong here, but I don't know of anybody that gets more attention in social media than Kim Kardashian. I don't know of anybody that can get more media than Michelle Obama or Beyonce. Black women, maybe Oprah. Throw Oprah in there just to be safe. Okay, let's do that. Jay-Z, when it comes to black men, entertainment industry. Denzel. We post something about Denzel Washington, it's a big post for me. Anyway, all I'm getting at is, I don't know, where is all this misogyny coming from? I'd love to see it. I want to see what it looks like. Oh, that's right. I kind of know. Like when I watch the stoning videos of these, or the video that we saw where a guy says he's got a woman, a Muslim woman in her full garb, and he's out in the middle of the street. His boys have AK-47s. And he's like, and he talks for about 2 minutes and then finally just shoots her in cold blood in the middle of the street. His cars and God and everybody watch. It was crazy. I'm thinking that may be the misogyny that Hillary's talking about. The misogyny of, vaginal mutilations, what they call it, when honor killings, stoning of women, etc. I would think that's what she's talking about with misogyny. I wouldn't think it's something that she's talking about where in a country where a crook like Hillary Clinton could almost become the president of the United States. But she referenced a question with Sheryl Sandberg, who told her that women become less likable when they're more successful, whereas it works the opposite way for men. Sheryl ended this really sobering conversation by saying that women will have no empathy for you because they will be under tremendous pressure. And I'm talking principally about white women. They will be under tremendous pressure from fathers, husbands, boyfriends, male employers not to vote for the girl, she said. And we saw a lot of that during the primaries from Sanders supporters, really quite vile attacks online against women who spoke out for me. And I say one of my biggest support groups, Pantsuit Nation, literally had to become a private site because there was so much sexism directed their way. Sexism is what kept Hillary out. And they said sex sells. Apparently not with Hillary. This is the most unbelievable declaration. And quite frankly, I understand why Democrats are saying STFU and just go away. I think a lot of people would say the same thing to her.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. KJ Radio is what you're listening to. The Kevin Jackson Show. 844-551-8255. And I want to cover what's been discussed about Donald Trump, because it bugs me that people are giving Trump grief. Now, the reason I bring this up is because Trump's got these meetings he's having with Democrats and everybody's freaking out. And it bugs me. Conservatism bugs me this way. And here's why. Leftists support Barack Obama, even to this day, at least publicly. Privately, they can't stand him. Publicly, they will not renounce Barack Obama in any way. They won't rebuke him. He lost over 1,000 seats during his tenure. That would be enough to make most people go, look, enough is enough. If Donald Trump lost 1,000 seats, how long would it take for us to jump him? If he loses dozens of seats in 2018, we would be jumping him. Not based on just it would be his policies that did it. It would be everybody's fault. But if Donald Trump shifted gears from what he promised us and he lost, hundreds of seats, dozens of seats, I wouldn't support him. I'd be like, screw this. Now, if he stays the course, I'll support him no matter what. Now, that being said, people out there going, well, Kevin, you're on dangerous territory here because he's not staying the course. And I say, sure he is. He absolutely is. He's meeting with the Democrats and they're accusing, Chuck Schumer says, yeah, he likes me on a hot mic. Finger quotes here. Hot mic. If you think Donald Trump likes Chuck Schumer, you'd have to be out of your mind. He tolerates him. He doesn't dislike him, but he doesn't like him. Schumer is a tool, a cog in the wheel. And Trump knows that. Pelosi, a cog in the wheel. He knows these people are so full of themselves, they can't even see straight. They think they're so self-righteous and they sanctimonious. They know it all. He's like, think that. Underestimate me. They did already once before. But here's what I don't like about conservatives. The rumor from fake news after Donald Trump has told most of us it's fake news. Oh, he's going to let DACA, he's going to let these illegals get away with this with DACA. No, he's not. He's going to look at DACA pragmatically, the same way we all look at it. And there's going to be a few winners in DACA that you better get used to. But there are going to be many, many more losers. I think of the old 80-20 rule. 80% of DACA is going home. 20% will satisfy the red meat wanting leftists. He'll give them just enough that they can't talk about him and say, he's a mean, cruel person. He'll go, no, we let some stay. Sure we did. But we sent most of them home. And if you can't see that as the perfect compromise to say, no. Now, there's also going to be rules for those folks. But don't think he's going to just dismiss them wholly, and he shouldn't. If I were a kid brought over at the age of 9 months and don't even know I'm not a citizen and learn that I'm not a citizen, I would be devastated if you told me I had to go home to a country of my parents' origin that I may not speak the language of or know anything about. I would be devastated, and so would you. So we have to balance it. At what age do we go, okay, and it's going to be like how the left handles abortion. At what age do you abort the DACA babies. So now we're going to put it into their terms. First trimester, second trimester, third trimester, on the birthing table. When do we get rid of them? But we're getting rid of them. So Trump's not backing away on that. Oh, he's not building the wall. He's equivocating. No, he's not. He's learning the rules of the game. And he's got good people up there who are going to say they don't want to get this done, but let's get on it ourselves. Because he's already said, look, we're already rebuilding portions of the wall. That's happening. We'll get to this. But this idea, he's meeting with the left. So then they come out and they tell us, what's the latest thing they told us about Trump? They said he's going to re-enter the Paris Accord. Now, I don't know if you realize what's happening here, but the Democrats are touching the fence. They want to see, what are you guys going to respond to? What will it take for you to abandon Trump? We talked about this a little bit the other day. What does it take? When do you finally say, you know what? I'm sick of this guy. So they're going to tell, it's a misinformation campaign. He likes us. He's capitulated on the DREAM Act, DACA. He's now reneging on other promises that he's made to you on the right. So he's now going to re-enter. He now changed his stance on climate change. They'll tell you he's ready to renegotiate Obamacare. They're going to throw stuff. And all they're doing is they're poll testing. They want to see, how much resolve do you have? I can't answer that for you. I've told this story a couple times on the radio where a friend of mine, I worked for him, and he wanted me to start a new division within his company. Not a new division, but take on a project. And he asked me what would the project cost. Would I study it and come back to him? And I said, sure. Took me 2 weeks, came back and told him it cost him about $1 million. And he hemmed and hawed, and we stayed in the conference room talking, and he finally said to me, Kevin, will you relook at the numbers? I hadn't planned on spending that much. I'm thinking we can do it for $500,000. And he says, will you look at the numbers and, give me another assessment? So I said, sure. And I took it back and I did nothing. Put it on my desk and said, when do you want to meet again on it? He says, Friday or whatever. So I came back in that Friday. I got the assessment. He says, you got something for me? I said, sure do. Handed him the thing. I said, $1 million. And he goes, dude, it's the same price. What are you talking about? I can't understand why. And he goes into the, not a bit of a tirade. Why can't you do this, Kevin? I mean, and he's running through it in his own mind. I'm listening. I'm sitting there just as cool as can be. I'm listening to him. He says, I don't understand why we can't do this for $250,000. So he's trying to rationalize the $500,000. He says, Kevin, will you look at this and see if we can get this thing into more of my vision? And I said, happy to do it. So I took it back to my office. I put it in my out basket. And whenever we were going to meet again, I said, I'll have some numbers for you. When we went back to meet, I put the things in front of him, and it was the same thing, $1 million. And he's ready to blow a gasket. And he's like, what, Kevin, did you understand what I said? It was $500,000. I told you I thought we could do it for $250,000. And it's like you didn't look at anything. And I go, I didn't. President of the company, I told him I didn't. Neither time. And he went, why? I go, because I gave you the answer. And you could come in and tell me it's 100,000 or whatever. I gave you the answer. That's the answer. It's $1 million. And if you don't like the answer, get somebody else to run the numbers, because I don't do stuff twice. I do it thoroughly the first time. Those are the numbers. And he starts laughing. And I'm like, I don't see what's funny here. It's been a bit, it's a waste of time. And luckily for me, I don't waste my time he goes, Kevin, that's what I love about you. He goes, see, most people would have tried to fit it into the $500,000, and I would have pushed them for the $250,000, and they would have tried to fit it into that, and they would have skinnied it down, and because they want to please me. He goes, and you did nothing of the sort. In fact, he goes, you're practically insolent. You're practically saying, screw you, I'm not doing any more work. And I go, I'm not practically saying that, I am. I'm not doing work twice, 3 times, whatever. And he goes, that's why you're 1 in a million. And he says, thanks for the report. No lie. Implemented it, $1 million, successful. Grew that company from 13.7 million to well over $100 million in 2 years. Because that was my take on things. I'm not going to listen to the minutia. So what I'm telling you folks is Donald Trump has resolve. He understands now he's in a political game, and I can tell you, this guy loves the game. You couldn't have picked a better person to put into this situation that understands the art of the deal and loves playing the game. He doesn't care about the money. He cares about saving you money. You are at the top of his priority list. And you question it. And you don't want to back him. You got nutcases like Ann Coulter running around talking about, we're not going to get anybody elected because he's not doing this or that. She's actually, wanting Doc. I don't know what she wants. But I'll tell you this. Donald Trump knows what he's doing. And moreover, who do you want in there? You want George Bush? You want Hillary Clinton? Pick any of the candidates that we currently have and tell me that they can get it done for you. It wouldn't happen. You got the right guy for the job. You got to start supporting him and showing him, poll or otherwise, that you support the president.
Kevin Jackson on the Black Sphere Radio Network.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
Putting an end to identity politics. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. It's the Kevin Jackson Show, KJ Radio. No loyalty. We always try to have a theme for the show, and it's taken me a while to come up with the one for today. But no loyalty might be a good theme. You guys hear me talk a lot about the warrior spirit. In most of the time, in most instances, the person who has trained, to be a warrior ignores the call to war. You tend to say, it's just not worth the effort. You know what I mean? You're training for something, whether you're a sniper, a marksman, and all military guys have to have some ability to shoot. It's just that if you're going to be elite, for example, a sniper, you have to train harder. You train your mind and your body to get you out of circumstances. Those are the guys that become special operators. They become special forces. They become Navy SEALs, etc. Or MARCOM, the new Force Recon guys for the Marines. So you heighten your awareness and you do all these things in order to just say, I can avoid these situations. Believe it or not, the best warriors learn how to avoid the fight. So that's what you specialize in. But occasionally, you do need to fight. And what you learn when you have a team, they call them, and the SEALs and most of these the special operators call themselves the team. When you hear Navy SEALs, they don't say my SEALs, my whatever. They have a BUDS class that they graduate with. It comprises the team generally, and they'll say the team, teams and stuff, man. The wives speak of team. That's the lexicon. That's the tribal language of special operators, is teams. So they see it as all for one and one for all. And there is no equivocation about it. You know, once the team sets out on a mission, that's it. The mission will be accomplished. It can be aborted in case something comes up, but the team comes back as an intact unit, ready to fight again. And what gets me is Donald Trump, of anybody in politics, has built what I would call the closest thing to the special forces. Everybody else has had an army. You know, they've had a group of people, a militia, whatever, call it whatever you want, but they've had it. But Donald Trump built a team of warriors, people who have stood by him through the most trying times. He's stupid. He'll fly off the handle. He'll push the button. He molests women. He hates black people. I mean, things that would have sent other people's fans scurrying in a New York minute. He's been bankrupt. He's divorced. He's blah, blah. They're just crying. I'm just telling you, Donald Trump has built a team. And these are guys that go to war, come back to war. They don't always agree. Let me tell you something about special forces. If you think you get all these guys together and they're like, okay, we all agree that we're going to eat chicken today, or that, Hillary Clinton or Kim Kardashian is the sexiest woman alive. No, they don't all agree on they don't all agree on a lot of stuff. Trust me when I tell you this. I've been in the middle of them talking. I know who they like. So you don't have to agree on everything except the mission. And the mission is, we must get rid of the left. We must do our part to showcase the lunacy of these people. When I say get rid of them, I'm not telling you let's eradicate them because they're, for the sake of eradication. No, I'm telling you, let's eradicate them by showcasing their ideas. People ask me all the time, they get mad at Fox. Why does Tucker showcase all those idiots? And I go, how else do you know how crazy the world has gotten? Why do I talk about all these idiots? Professors who want to kill cops, wants to train people to kill cops. A sports reporter saying that the president is a white nationalist. On what evidence? A cook on CNN. Yeah, he's a cook. He's not a chef. Anthony Bourdain, believes that if he got a chance to cook for the president, he should poison him, and equates him to Kim Jong-un. Do I need to go on? Black folks who will, apparently I do, black folks who will consider the shooting death of Anthony Lamar Smith as some civil rights violation when the dude is a heroin dealer who tried to kill some cops. What else do you need? Need me to talk about tax policy, economy, foreign policy? I got it all. Leftists are crazy. They believe you should let people flood your borders. They believe you should legalize anybody in this country, whether they're criminals or not. They believe that we should import our own terrorists into our midst and not even vet these people. Do I need to go on? This is crazy. And conservatives are ready to chunk Donald Trump because of the BS they hear in one story by either Brian Make My Own History Williams or Fake News CNN or the I'm With Her DNC. It doesn't take anything to get people questioning. I don't know. That Donald Trump, he could do something with DACA. Oh, I heard he really is going to keep Obamacare. Oh, you know what? Donald Trump, he talks about tax relief, but he's not serious about it. Donald Trump, whatever. What was the latest? We talked about it earlier. I don't know. Donald Trump doesn't want to, build a wall or they just start stuff. No basis in truth. He wants out of the Paris Accord. To join. He wants into it. No, he doesn't. And he clarifies it. But you should know by now, And I don't know how you feel. You're my audience. You're a lot smarter than the average audience. But there are people out there who are going, I don't know, Kev, that Donald Trump. And then, you get the drones out there, the leftist media. Oh, he likes Schumer. Trump put a hit out on Obamacare, although establishment McCain and these other rhinos fought against him. And as Hillary Clinton learned, and you should probably know, Trump will win in the end. You guys seem worried. Remember what I told you about the presidential race? For those of you who naysayers are going, Kevin, I don't know, man. Donald Trump seems like he's really starting to change. He's not changing. I told you guys, he donates to Democrats. We ran his record. He donates to Democrats in big cities where he's going to build buildings. That's what you do if you owned his company. You'd do the same thing, except you would have donated a lot more. He donated $50,000 to Rahm Emanuel, a billionaire in Chicago. And he's got big buildings in Chicago. If that's what it takes to grease the skids, that's a small price to pay for a multi-billionaire to do business in your city. Because let me tell you, a lot of other people would have gotten a lot more out of somebody else. Look at how much money that gets donated in the public in politics, and ask yourself if $50,000 to a mayor of a major city is a big donation. That's nothing. That's almost an insult. But people, I don't know about that Donald Trump. He donated tons of money in comparison to the left, to the Democrats, to Republicans, and people believed the hype, believed the lie. I believed it at first until we researched it. I said, I'm going to look it up. I kind of believe. I've heard he does donate to Democrat causes. And he did. It was true. But not to the level that people said. So he goes after Obamacare. Then he says, you know what? I'll let it implode. No politician would say that except Donald Trump, who says, I don't care if it dies. Let it die. Move on. And now it's about to die. And people, I don't know about that Donald Trump. Illegal immigration, refugee resettlement, anti-capitalist policies, all on the chopping block. And because these items haven't been accomplished in a few months, conservatives say he's a failure. And in this case, to some steadfast warriors, and I use my finger quotes, who have this man walking the plank, let me explain to you that's just what the left wants. They want to test the water. They want to see when you're willing to leave Donald Trump. What policy can we create that's going to make you go, okay, that's it, I'm done. They're searching for it. And as soon as they get it, they're going to double down on it, folks. Trump likes Schumer. Sure. To say President Trump likes Schumer is to say people like hemorrhoids. People deal with hemorrhoids. But I've never met anybody who likes them. They want to pretend that they're Trump's BFF, Schumer and Pelosi. They have bipartisan support for DACA. Nonsense. Let Donald Trump do his job. He will do it in a way that will make you proud. Trust me.
He won't stop until he's the top-rated radio talk show host in America.
What kind of weird competitive freak are you?
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. It's the Kevin Jackson Show. The left ruin everything. Glad you're here. KJRadio.com, 844-551-8255 if you want to call the show. What do I mean by the left ruin everything? It's very simple. What did you think of Harvard prior to Barack Obama being a graduate of there? See, I've always thought of Harvard as one of those institutions you strive to get into. You can get into regular college, but to get into Harvard was something special. But we learned that Harvard has dumbed itself down, affirmative action, and they let Barack Obama get in, and then they placated. They pretended that he was more than what he was. They changed the rules to let him become the person over law review. That had to be the top student in the past, but no, when Barack Obama did it, all he had to do was just be black and popular or whatever. So he lobbied to become the first black president of law review, and Harvard gladly capitulated. Sure, we're politically correct. We've got social engineering on our mind, and why not help this articulate and clean, dumb crap black dude become the president of Law Review, which he happily did. Now, we've seen a couple of Obama's writings, and there's nothing spectacular at all. And then he graduates. And I told everybody who would listen, I don't know how many people graduate from Harvard, the president of Law Review, and only get one job offer. Barack Obama got a job offer from a crook by the name of Tony Resco, who's now in prison. The same guy who helped Obama do a crooked land deal. Barack Obama graduated from Harvard, worked for Resco's company, and he was so bad at it that they decided he would be better off as a community organizer and just stay out of our way. His own employees thought of him as dumb, as lazy. I mean, his peers. But they say he's really smart. And Harvard gladly takes claim. We have another president. Congratulations, Harvard. So I no longer respect a Harvard degree. It wasn't what it was 30, 40, 50 years ago. So what a joke. And what of the Nobel Peace Prize? These people give Barack Obama the Nobel Peace Prize, and he's months into office fighting 3 wars. I mean, it was a venerable organization, the Nobel Committee, and suddenly they water it down. No, they just, quite frankly, they pee all over it by giving Barack Obama a Nobel Peace Prize that he clearly didn't deserve. But let's go back to Harvard. So Harvard, again, in one of these moves that leaves you asking yourself, what are you thinking? They decide they're going to honor Chelsea Manning. I don't even remember what Manning's real name was when he was a dude. But this is a guy, look, I'm not going to make a comment on whether he should or should not have given away the secrets. My suspicion is he shouldn't. I look at Edward Snowden very differently than I did when they brought the news story out about him. This is a guy who said, you're violating the rights of citizens, and he was right. Now, I don't know what Manning did. I know he went to military prison in Fort Leavenworth. He served 7 years of a 35-year sentence, commuted by Obama before leaving office because he said he felt justice had been served. And, Harvard decides that they're going to take a convicted criminal who supposedly gave away our secrets to the enemy and then became a transgendered lady, and that's who they're going to make a visiting speaker. I don't know, what was a visiting fellow? I don't get that. So then they get smart because of the fallout. And they say, you know what? We're going to, rescind that order. Rescind that invitation or whatever they call it. But it wasn't because the school decided it was the wrong thing to do. It was because of the heat they took. There was a CIA director, former deputy director and acting director of the CIA. His name is Michael Morrell. And he was due to speak there. No, I'm sorry. He wasn't going to speak there. I believe he was a senior fellow at Harvard, and he resigned over this incident. There was another CIA guy, I can't remember his name. Oh, Mike Pompeo. He was going to speak there, and he canceled immediately. He saw it as a disservice, a disrespect to the CIA for him to speak at a place where they're going to give an award to a guy who gave away our secrets. Barack Obama pardoned this guy. Folks, this just floors me. It goes back. It takes me back to all these awards programs where these leftists give themselves awards, and you say, I got to the point where I don't even watch any. I don't watch Miss America. Miss America does not represent me or any other person in America as far as I'm concerned. Look at what happened at the last one. These stars, they give themselves award after award after award, And when they run out of awards, they create a new one. It's like boxing belts. Well, we have the WBC. Oh, no. Now we have the WBA. Oh, now we have the IBF. Oh, wait. We have the WBO. Oh, no. We have the IBC, IBA, IB whatever. There has to be a champion, 15 different champions, because nobody wants to see one real champion anymore. It disturbs me that these guys want to make a champion out of a transsexual who, stole secrets, so certainly gave secrets away, and that's their champion. Are there not enough good people in the world for them to do things with? I'm not going to, look, I don't care if I'm a fellow at Harvard, but I'll tell you this, I'd be a better fellow to Harvard University than Chelsea Manning. I know that for a fact. And I know 500 other people I could name without you putting a gun to my head that also would be. But this is the state that we live in, where the left want to take these freaks. I'm not talking about the fact that he's transgender. I don't care about that. I'm talking about the fact that he's a leftist who would sell secrets, have his transsexual surgery or whatever he wants to do, and believe that he's a good citizen of the United States. That's a freak to me. We'll be back. Keep it here.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
Beth Cook Moranville, author of Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope.
Hope, that wonderful, wonderful 4-letter word that you may feel completely out of. I wrote this book to give you great hope. It's not too late. If fetal position is an all too familiar place for you, I understand. If the next 60 seconds are too long, this book is for you. Wherever you are right now, whether you're dealing with divorce or death or sickness, take hope. You are going to make it through this pain. Don't roll your eyes. I've walked this road and I know it. The best is yet to come.
Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope from author and speaker Beth Cook Moranville, can be found on Amazon.com or Kindle.com. For more information, visit closerthanyourBreath.com or on Facebook at Closer Than Your Breath.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
In relation to the incident, as you've reported, at 8:20 this morning at Parsons Green Tube Station, there was an explosion on a tube train. Police have attended. We now assess that this was a detonation of an improvised explosive device. As you'll have seen, the reports of 18 injuries, and I understand most of those to be flash burns. The scene currently remains cordoned off and the investigation continues. In terms of the police response, as you'd expect, well-practiced command structures have come into shape. An operation led and coordinated by the Metropolitan Police, working with our colleagues from British Transport Police and others. The investigation is being led by the Metropolitan Police Counter-Terrorism Command, part of the National Counter-Terrorism Policing Network. And there are many urgent inquiries ongoing now with hundreds of detectives involved, looking at CCTV, forensic work and speaking to witnesses. This investigation is supported by our colleagues from MI5 and bringing their intelligence expertise to bear on the case. Finally, in terms of the police response, I would emphasise that Londoners particularly can expect to see an enhanced police presence, particularly across transport system, across the day.
Welcome back, everybody. They have found at least some of these bombers that were involved in the London bombing. And what was funny about this, not funny in a good way, but, interesting, I should say, is how the left were so, Donald Trump's jumping to conclusions about this. He jumped to conclusions about the bombing. We don't know if it's a terror attack and all that. We knew it was a terror attack. But they made reference to some terror attack. I think it was in the Philippines. And they said it turned out not to be a terror attack. Well, congratulations. And it was funny. All these leftists are mad at Trump for jumping to the conclusion and saying it was terror. And maybe he got it wrong this time. But he's right most of the time. But it reminds me of Barack Obama jumping to conclusions. He did many times. He jumped to conclusions on Trayvon Martin. He jumped to conclusions on Michael Brown. But he jumped to conclusions before any of that on Gatesgate. Professor Gates. White cop goes to arrest, to look into a situation where a black dude is seen breaking into Professor Gates' home by his neighbor who was across the street. Because every time I tell this story, people go, well, they had to know what Gates looked like. I go, yeah, because everybody knows what somebody looks like crawling through their neighbor's window. Everybody believes that the person who owns a home gets into his house through the window. Okay, can I continue? Thank you. Yes. So the neighbor does his job in Professor Gates' neighborhood, calls the cops and says, somebody's breaking into my neighbor's home. And the cop on the beat, happened to be a white dude, he responds, rings the doorbell, does what he does. Gates answers the door, and he says, I'm going to need to see some ID. Gates says, this is my house. He says, sir, it probably is. But it would be good if you could show me ID because somebody saw somebody else entering the home. I need to make sure you're not under duress. I also need to make sure that you are really you. It's to be expected. I would hope you would appreciate that that's my job. And Gates goes, no, it's racist. You don't like me because I'm black. And the cop's going, it has nothing to do with that. It has to do with the fact that my job is to verify that you're indeed the homeowner. And sir, by the way, if you are the homeowner, this is for your protection. And he's trying to reason his way out of this. But there is no reasoning with a leftist. And the smarter they are, the less reasonable they are. Because you know why? They believe they have power. When I say the smarter they are, I mean the more education they've attained. It doesn't mean they're smart. So Gates is a professor at Harvard. Now, you've heard me talk about Harvard. I talked about it earlier in the broadcast where I said Harvard gave us the most stupid president I've ever seen, and I didn't think anybody could be dumber than Carter, but Barack Obama was. Harvard wanted to make Chelsea Manning a fellow, a teaching, traveling speaker or whatever they call it, a fellow to come in and give speeches to the university. And Chelsea, whatever his name was, Danny Manning, Bruce Manning, whatever it is, was a person who gave away our secrets and then decided, didn't like life as a man, pulled a Caitlyn on us and went to prison. And they say, that's a good fellow. Yeah, like Angela Davis, right? Or, I don't know. Hey, I tell you what, if Michael Brown had survived trying to kill a cop, maybe he could have been a good fellow. This is disturbing. And we allow this stuff to happen with our, and you could say, Kevin, we weren't silent about this. We didn't have to be. We are silent about it. Harvard self-corrected because their alumni and people said, look, we're not tolerating this. But Harvard is still going to be Harvard. Harvard will revere itself because it now has another president. And anyway, all of this comes on the heels of, the reason why I'm even talking about this stuff is I want to get into the bombing, the Chelsea bombing. Donald Trump makes the comment that this is terrorist. And we knew it was terrorist. I mean, I chronicled recently the number of attacks that there have been by Muslim terrorists in London. It's crazy. leading up into the 90s and maybe even part of the 2000s, the attacks in London or in the UK were mostly by the IRA. Just go look it up. The Irish Republican Army, planting bombs, car bombs, etc. That's what you heard. I looked in the last 10 years, the last decade, and the majority of the attacks were almost exclusively Muslim. That's how long the IRA has almost said, you know what? It doesn't do us any good to attack because, the Muslims are doing such a good job. So that's where we are. Unbelievable. So we get this attack of the London Tube. They call it the Tube. It's a subway system. And flashback to Trump during the campaign and the promises he made outside of not locking up Hillary Clinton. That's the only one that he really didn't keep. He said he was going to be tough on terror. And he has been. And he's attempting to limit the very things that London has suffered from for the last 10 years. And the left fight him. They want these terrorists on our shores. And let me tell you, London, it ain't over. It's just beginning. London, as I said, in the last decade, London hadn't done much. It's been dominated by Muslim terrorists over the last decade. It will escalate beyond belief. I'm going to make a prediction to you guys that London will have more terror attacks in the next year than they will have had in the last 5 years. So Trump wants to end that. But yet again, the world faces more terror by Muslims, and the left want to pretend, Donald Trump, he's jumping to conclusions and all this. We're not jumping to conclusions, folks. This is real. And I believe that I talked about this before, but I think there was an attack in France. I have to look. This is going to escalate. And we need to be looking at this more vigilantly and making sure that it doesn't occur here. And thankfully, it hasn't in a while because we got new leadership.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. KJRadio.com, where you can find out more about us if you want to get on the internet. And you can get the show. A lot of people go, Kevin, can I get the show in this market or that market? You can get the show at KJRadio.com, live streamed on demand anytime you want. And if you want it live, just get on at the time that we broadcast, and it's yours. So be sure to do that. The new cars allow you to just register, hey, I want Kevin Jackson Radio Show, whatever. You find it, click the button, hit the live stream, boom, you're up and running. And we love that. So there was a story. It came out recently there, and this has to do with religion and, the Muslims and all this. And they have all these different rules based on what's going on. Are they in a time of war? Like they have anal jihad where guys can satisfy one another if there's nobody else around and they won't be considered gay. Okay, whatever you say. But I would never practice that. Let me just put it that way. And then they have rules that say if you're going against the infidel, then you can lie to them and you can say whatever you want because it's okay in our religion to lie for the sake of the religion. See, in our religion, in Christianity, and I can't speak for Judaism, but I believe it's probably the same. A lie is a lie. Doesn't matter whether you're telling a lie so that you can move on. Like, in other words, yeah, I love your religion, in order to keep my head about myself, so to speak. And I want to cover that subject in another time because there was a debate that I had with a friend of mine about would you renounce God in order to save yourself if, Muslims had you and were going to cut off your head. That was one thing. Then he said, well, what about if it involved your children? One of my sons. What would you say to them? Should they renounce religion? Interesting topic. I'll give you my take on it another time. But all I'm getting at is this. In Islam, they claim we do not drink in Islam, Kevin. We do not lose our senses about ourselves. And you say, okay, good. They say, we do not practice pornography. We do not fool around on our wives. We are very prized people. We pray multiple times a day, blah, blah, blah. And you go, well, congratulations. All sounds very good. And Sharia law is very, it's by the rules. So are ours, by the way. But they claim that it's really good and it keeps peace and harmony within the Muslim community. So much peace and harmony that, 68.5 million people around the world are in refugee status, mostly from Muslim countries. But it is a good religion. We practice peace and harmony. We are the religion of peace. We love our people, blah, blah, blah. We love all people. We want everyone to be happy. Well, I don't feel that way. Just me personally, but whatever. Okay. So when they found Osama bin Laden, and they're still going through his stuff, and I heard a CIA officer say, we're about at the end of the usefulness of, these people that we've captured their stuff, and we really need to be gathering more intelligence from people as opposed to killing them. And that's what the doctrine of Barack Obama was to kill them. And I don't think Trump's has changed, but Trump is going to take a whole different tact to the war, because he's going to say, look, we're not expending any resources to your criminals, to your terrorists. You will. It's your responsibility. If they continue disrupting America, then we're not going to do business with you. And that'll be that. So I like his approach better. But in the meantime, go kill a bunch of them while you got troops over there. And, let's get the framework in place for some of this stuff. But I digress. The point of it is, Islam says you have all these rules we follow. And so Osama bin Laden is supposed to be a very pious person. And I don't know how pious he is, because they found a stash of porn in his cave. Not in his cave, in his house in Pakistan. They said extensive. Now, he would bring people, women, I'm guessing, maybe little boys, you never know, in for, sexual favors or what have you, while he was at this stash house. That was one of the ways he got caught. But the reason why I'm bringing this up is it was an extensive amount of pornography. It wasn't books on, understanding the world's religions. It wasn't books on, travel. It wasn't things about nature. He wasn't enriching his mind in any way, except he had this, I don't know how big it is, but, the way that the CIA described it, this huge collection of porn. So, Mr., living, out in the, when he was living in the hills, in the caves, and talking about the religion of Islam and religion. Look, we got a lot of people that like porn. Christians do not have to look for people that are suffering from addictions to porn or whatever else. Why do we need you if you're, we pray for 5 times a day facing Mecca so we can go back to our stash of porn? Somebody explain this to me. It's bizarre. They want to pretend that their religion is so much better. Look, I've already talked to you about honor killings and, vaginal mutilation and stoning of women and beating of women, the raping of women and children. Fine. If that isn't enough, okay. I'm not going to try to convince you otherwise. But I'm just telling you, don't come at me with your religion as being something special when the guy who's supposed to be one of your most it would be like us finding out that Catholics find out that the Pope's got a stash of porn. That's the way I view this. When you would see Osama bin Laden, he is so, he's got such a conviction for his religion that teaches us right from wrong, that, he wants to kill people to say, look, you will be much happier if you give up all your porn and your coffee and your donuts and your, drinking and your smoking and all this. And these guys, Muhammad, what was it, Fatah or something like that? Before they went and jumped into the planes to go down in the World Trade Center, you know where they were? You guys know where they were? You do? Okay. Where? Strip club, right? Strip club. So the last thing they wanted to do wasn't to talk, phone their family and say, hey, we want to tell you, we love you. Allahu Akbar. Oh, no, that's what they say when they kill people. Assalamu alaikum, we love you. We will see you in heaven with our virgins and blah, blah, blah. And be good, but be sure to study your Quran. Now, let me talk to the children. Children, talk to the Quran, speak to the Quran, go to the mosque, be good with your mothers, blah, blah, blah. No, they go to freaking strip clubs. Yeah. The pious, very religion of peace people. Before we're going to go ram our planes, hijack planes and ram them into the World Trade Center, let's go see if we can hang out with some strippers. And I don't know for a fact, but they probably had prostitutes and all that. I'll tell you a quick story. A friend of mine worked at the Beverly Hills Hotel. And he says the royal family, the Saudi royal family, came. And I don't know who was in attendance, Prince, because, there's a bunch of them. And he says the men were on one floor, the women were on another floor. That was the one thing. And he says, they had a lot of the hotel. And I think they rented it completely out, like the floors for the women, floor for the men. I don't know how many were traveling. But my buddy's name is Terry, and he managed that hotel, was a night manager or whatever. He says they check in, and it's a big deal. And he says the bellman would fight for who got to go up to take care of him, because no matter when you went up, if they needed toothpaste, they gave you $100 bill or more. Could you please bring up an extra towels? Thank you very much. You bring towels, $100, $200. So these guys were fighting to get up there. But Terry says, so men are on one floor, women are on the other. He said, I've never seen so many call girls at our hotel at any given time. He said, because the men were on their own floor, the concierge would bring these girls up, disperse them to the rooms, and bada bing, bada boom. And as Elaine said in Seinfeld, yada, 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 whatever. So, these guys, and by the way, why is on the floor beneath them? So it isn't one of these things where, well, we were having special circumstances. There was anal jihad. It was wartime, whatever. No, there was nothing going on to disrupt you from going downstairs and having a conjugal visit or asking your wife to come. I don't know how all that works out in their so-called religion, but there was nothing preventing them. And Terry said it was like that the entire time. And it was mum's the word, and the staff is getting, he goes, people love working on the night that the Saudis come, because the concierge probably makes as much money in that night as he makes all month. That's how bad it is. So, look, I don't care one way or the other how people look at this. I'm just saying, to thyself be true, and stop lying about what you are. Your number one dude at a porn stash that rivaled Hugh Hefner's. We'll be back.
Kevin Jackson on the Black Sphere Radio Network.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177, or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
Putting an end to identity politics. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. It's the Kevin Jackson Show. 844-551-8255. Author of Race Pimping. If you read that book, I swear to you, you will say to yourself, this is, Kevin, how did you know all this stuff? It's like I'm psychic. And you will get such enjoyment because it'll make you understand all the crap that we currently are going through with all these leftists. You know, what's going on in St. Louis. You know what's really funny? Leftists don't protest inner city blight. They don't protest bad schools for black kids. Have you seen one of those? Leftists don't protest when black people kill other black people. No, you may occasionally see some black men in a black men's organization who will go out and say, look, we got to stand up and do this, that, and the other. Now, you won't see an organized protest. George Soros doesn't fund that. George Soros isn't going to protest the notion that Planned Parenthood, an organization founded to get rid of Negroes, is in predominantly Negro neighborhoods, killing babies, black babies at 300%, per capita of the population. And you're never going to see a protest over that. No way. You're never going to see a protest over black people who are brutalizing society in general. You're never going to see a protest over the notion that black businesses are not in black neighborhoods where black people tend to assimilate. I don't believe in things like a black neighborhood. I think that's ridiculous. To say, oh, well, there's a black neighborhood. I use the term, but I think it's so nondescript in the sense that we can live anywhere. Why is it we congregate? Now, I lived in St. Louis in a black neighborhood. I chose to. I wanted to help the neighborhood. I didn't go there like, I'm going to help the poor indigenous black folks. No. I said, I'm going to try to give this neighborhood an economic development by participating in it. Meeting the people. Knowing who they are. Being a good neighbor. There was a guy that owned I don't know who owned it, but he had a business up there. He had a laundromat. I'd go up there, wash my dog's bed, use the big machine so we could just wash blankets and stuff like that. I'd use it, I don't know, one time every quarter or so. There was a bar restaurant, ate at the bar restaurant. It's owned by a guy named Dan. They opened up another bar restaurant across the way. I got involved, went to that one. There was a coffee shop owned by a black lady from Chicago named Debbie. And I know for a fact I was probably one of Debbie. If I wasn't Debbie's biggest customer, I was one of them. Top 5, easy. She finally sold it, but I was Debbie's client for quite a while. So I did that. And for my efforts, they broke into my car 5 times. They stole my barbecue pit, stole the sprinkler nozzle off my hose one day. Some crackhead. It's crazy stuff. But the point, look, it doesn't matter what I talk about in the black neighborhood. If it's bad in the black neighborhoods, nobody protests other than white cops killing black men in black neighborhoods or in anywhere. That's the only thing that gets protested. They don't care. And these blacks in St. Louis and elsewhere, they're like, we're going to make them pay. We're going to make them pay with money. Yeah, we're going to make them pay, all right, because doggone it, we're going to make them pay. And so now they're out, protesting businesses and stopping all the things that need to be happening, all these things that are going on around the country. I'm sorry, in the city. They're like going to the malls, and there'll be economic development hell, to pay. Because that's going to help the city in triage that's gone from 850,000 people to around 318,000. I talked about some of these stats the other day that the St. Louis metro area has fallen to 77% of that of metro New York in terms of your dollar to theirs. We talk about women not making as much money as men, right? St. Louis doesn't make as much money. A St. Louisan doesn't make as much money as a New Yorker. They're both cities. It was 89% of what New York made in 1979. Now it's 77%. Keep it up. It'll be 62% And then eventually it'll be 32, 31%. And not that New York is doing any great shakes itself. These bigger cities like Chicago, New York, there's a handful of them that are crown jewels. So nobody, they're almost untouchable in terms of inflation and all that because they have a huge tourist thing. Like New York has the UN to support it. They get consulates and things like that. That's the reason why they survive. So St. Louis is in a tailspin. I talked about it on TV. You guys may have seen me doing a little bit of media these days. In a tailspin. I don't blame Ferguson for this, nor do I blame this incident with Anthony Smith. The death spiral has been occurring since the 50s. And the common thread is very simple. The common thread is Democrats. People know that. And St. Louis isn't alone in that. Big cities outside of huge metro areas find themselves in the same death throes as St. Louis, but St. Louis now has the added distinction of being the mother of Ferguson. The Ferguson effect, as it were. And once a city gets the reputation of being a hotbed of racial tension, death comes quicker. And that's what's happening to St. Louis. If things don't change for St. Louis, it'll continue. It's funny. I was looking at Cleveland or Baltimore, one of them, and they actually said, like, can it survive? It can survive as a smaller city, because to put it in perspective, Baltimore has been losing. I believe this is the case of Baltimore. They've been losing 23 people a day for 43 years straight. They've lost half their population in the last. So they were roughly 1 million. They've lost 300 and something thousand people in the last 3 decades. How do you survive? I mentioned, I'm sorry, it may be Cleveland, but I can tell you this, that was Cleveland, but I can tell you this about Baltimore. Baltimore is having the same problem. That Baltimore was well over 1 million people. It's finally fell under 600,000. It was 618,000 the last time I looked, and it was still going down. And I believe the last census they've measured since Freddie Gray, they say they're now at 589,000. They've now gone under the 600,000 mark. These cities are dying. Now, that's a good thing for us, because the only thing propping these cities up, believe it or not, colleges and universities. Maybe the hospital system, in the case of Baltimore, Johns Hopkins is. But the colleges and universities, city government, colleges and universities, they're losing manufacturing. They're losing their client base because they're so nutty. And they won't do anything about it. Crime ran through the roof. Look at the statistics, folks, in almost any major city in the country. And during the time of Obama, crime escalated at least double digits. So what do you say to that? You got rabble-rousers now in every city. They think they can build their reputation by essentially fomenting more and more racial incidents and all this. And the thing that bugs me the most, and I've said it before and I'll say it again, pick your icons carefully. Anthony Lamar Smith is not a person you should be fighting over, trying to make a point. It's very simple. He's a heroin dealer. And I keep coming back to this notion that if we will elevate a heroin dealer to a cause of civil rights, it's going to make you look bad. If that kid was a good kid, truly going to college, had done nothing wrong, and a cop shot him the way they've described for this officer Stockley, we all protest. Conservatives are with you. But when you lampoon, you make a mockery of something like this, you're not going to get people to want to support it. And that's where we are. And I'll be honest with you. I want to leave it to the lefties. I've got a house in St. Louis that I want to get sold. Because I'm looking at companies in there, that these venerable companies that have been around for a lot of years. Stifel Nicholas, emptying out its offices, Wells Fargo, etc., on the day of that verdict. And I say to myself, going from 23 Fortune 500 companies down to 9 since 1980 doesn't bode well for this city. And it's time. If you're smart, you're going to do what I'm doing, and you're going to cash out. So anyway, I find this disturbing, folks, and I know we talked about it a lot today, but wanted to get it off my chest. Anyway, we'll be back tomorrow. We got a lot of things to talk about, so we'll see you then, right?
He won't stop until he's the top-rated radio talk show host in America.
What kind of weird competitive freak are you?
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.